Now they've got a quarterback. This team is going to be really good, one that teams are going to watch out for in the AFC.
But I think the worst or the floor is 9-8 with this roster and with the additions that they made. So I think they're going to be anywhere from 10 to 11 wins.
I am on the other side of this. I'm saying 12 wins. They go 12-5 and tie the Kansas City Chiefs. Trust me, offensively, they're going to be on the same page. To me, the biggest question is about the defense.
I mean, this is a roster that was ready-made to win. There's a reason last year when Aaron Rodgers was rumored as potentially being picked up by this team that they were going to be a Super Bowl favorite.
Going into the 2022 NFL season, everybody and their moms thought the Broncos would be a good team this year, a team that exceeded expectations and could even be a dark horse team. With the addition of 9-time Pro Bowl, Super Bowl winning quarterback Russell Wilson joining the team, and new head coach Nathaniel Hackett, who was the offensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers for the last 3 years and culminated an MVP season from Aaron Rodgers and had the #1 scoring offense in 2020, averaging a whopping 31.5 points per game. But as we now know, going into Week 17, this season has been a complete disaster, one that the NFL and the fans never saw coming. And the two main culprits are Nathaniel Hackett and Russell Wilson. Today, I will walk us through how a head coach got fired in less than one season, and it all started back in Week 1.
Sutton. Oh, yes. We got 3 timeouts, E. I might use one right here, E.
You don't want to waste that much time, I don't think. Timeout.
What the? So you just burned 30 seconds to call a timeout?
They're going to kick it. They're going to kick it.
Kick what?
Just missed.
It hit up right?
I'm saying just missed left of it.
And I don't care if you blew it and you mismanaged the clock and you have 2 timeouts and you can't even use them. You do not bring out the field goal kicker for a 64-yard attempt.
Who's to blame for the Broncos' loss?
Well, for me, it's the coach. I mean, he's clearly new. He's a novice. He's inexperienced. You got 2 inexperienced coordinators.
Obviously, I wish we would have gotten a lot closer, but it put us in that weird spot there because we were in the field goal range, but we were on that 4th down situation. Didn't think we were going to get that many yards, so I thought it was a great job by Javonte, and we just made the decision. We want to take our shot there on that one.
After just one game, Broncos fans were already disappointed and angered by the coaching of Nathaniel Hackett, and so was the entire football world. There was a swarm of tweets after this game criticizing the appalling coaching performance of Hackett. You even heard Peyton Manning, Shannon Sharp, Stephen A. Smith, and Max Kellerman not mincing words when discussing Hackett's first showing. But what probably made fans even more mad was his press conference. As you saw, he didn't ever think it was a bad decision or even regretted the 64-yard field goal attempt. I mean, why did you pay Russell Wilson $240 million to be your new QB if you won't even allow him to win you the game against his former team? But Week 2 against the Houston Texans wasn't much better.
It's Beck. Fakes the pitch and shoved down, and that's a questionable call on 3rd and inches. They hand it off to Andrew Beck. That's just his 2nd carry in his career. And what happened first? Delay a game or timeout?
Delay of game.
Wow.
Offense.
That's brutal.
5-yard penalty. 4th down.
That is absolutely brutal. 54-yard field goal turns into a 59-yard attempt, and instead it's Waitman out to punt.
So Hackett once again mismanaged the clock and missed out on a potential 3 points. And there was still a chance. I mean, 59 yards with the penalty, that's only 5 yards less than the kick you wanted to make for the game last week. So why are you so cautious to kick a field goal now? Doesn't make any sense. The Broncos wound up winning this game 16-9, which didn't resolve any woes that people had about this team because it was an ugly ass win. I'm talking trench toes ugly. I mean, Russell Wilson played pretty bad and the offense only managed to put up 16 points yet again, which led to more discouraging tweets from people who didn't even know where Denver was and NFL analysts talking about you yet again, in a bad way. But it only gets more strange for this team because in Week 3 they beat the 49ers 11-10 in one of the most boring games on primetime football. I mean, 2 shots of Henny and some Jack Daniels and I still wasn't having fun. I mean, it did solidify the Broncos defense was very legit this year and showed that this offense might be one of the worst offenses in the NFL, so there's that. Then we get Week 4, a divisional game against the 0-3 Raiders. This should be a gimme for the Broncos. Nope. Josh Jacobs went Super Saiyan and started running the Denver defense over, trying to see if they had any money in their pockets since Vegas ain't giving him shit. And people weren't bullying the Broncos offense anymore for at least 1 week since the defense couldn't get the Raiders off the field, so Hackett was off the hook for the week. But what happened the next week on Thursday Night Football was one of the most disgusting, ugliest, dumbest, and weakest games of football we've ever seen, and showed a huge problem that nobody saw coming. Russell Wilson is washed. He's cooked. He starts like a damn potato. Hackett had some awful play calling and decisions made once again, but Russell Wilson was the real villain in this scenario. As an 11-year veteran QB, this has got to be one of the worst throws you could ever make. You gave the Colts a chance with this interception and lost out on potential precious points. And not just give the Colts a chance, you gave them the game. But Russell Wilson has the chance to redeem himself. He drives down the field in overtime and throws another interception that loses the game. Yeah, this one actually lost him the game. The worst part was, you had your wide receiver KJ Hamler wide open. Wilson doesn't even look over there. He eyeballs Courtland Sutton the entire play, and they ran a design pick play with KJ Hamler. And guess what? It worked. Something Nathaniel Hackett called actually worked. Against the Colts man coverage, KJ Hamler got wide open off the Jerry Jeudy screen kind of play. So this is a problem that we can't blame Hackett for. It's time for the real discussion. Russell Wilson is a washed 33-year-old quarterback that just got paid $240 million. But it's only 5 games into the season. The Broncos sit 2-3, and a new head coach, quarterback, and coordinators means that things won't be perfect. But 2 more abysmal losses against the Chargers and Jets causes fans to be a little bit outraged, as Hackett can't seem to produce any offense, and Russell Wilson just continues to look flat, not make great decisions, force balls, and just miss open receivers. But to everyone's surprise, the Broncos traveled to London and actually beat the Jaguars in a game where Russell Wilson had a game-winning drive for the Broncos. And those type of wins can usually shift the season around for a team, and it just felt like a game where you turn your season around based on that momentum and start figuring yourself out going forward. But to the Broncos' dismay, next week they lost to the Titans, then the Raiders, then the Panthers, then the Chiefs, then the Ravens, and then finally got a win against a no Kyler Murray, Trace McSorley Cardinals, which isn't impressive at all. And in between all these games, you have the media complaining about your failed expectations and wondering if the season could get any worse. And you're just wondering where Russell Wilson has gone, because this can't be the same guy that was in Seattle winning games, playing like an absolute beast at quarterback, and then week after week, headline after headline, and finally, the Rams versus the Broncos, Christmas Day. This was the game that broke the camel's hump. It was a very interesting and fun game to say the least, as it was also played on Nickelodeon and made the Broncos organization realize something had to change. Russell Wilson continued to play bad and the Broncos defense simply looked done. We saw several outbreaks throughout this year from the players on the Broncos displaying their anger with the offensive woes they were having. And it was mostly the defense, but it seemed like everyone was angry in this game. Backup QB Brent Ripien got into it with the offensive line. They started pushing each other, shouting at each other on the sideline as they were getting their asses kicked by the Rams. And once these outbreaks start becoming more frequent, it shows the complete lack of respect for the coaches and a lack of discipline overall. And the defense just looked tired of playing for a team that can't score any points. They didn't care about Cam Akers running the ball down their throats and having the best game of his NFL career. And Nickelodeon made it even worse as Patrick Starr started roasting your QB live on television.
That's called an interception.
That's close.
Bobby Wagner. That's not what he wanted to cook.
And an imaginary crane that took Baker Mayfield out of the game because he was playing too good. Never thought I would say those words, but Nickelodeon made it true. If Nickelodeon has to take Baker Mayfield out of the game because he's playing so good, you have a massive problem on your hands. And that's exactly what happened. The Broncos organization had to make a change after this game. It was a complete embarrassment of a loss, a complete blowout, 51-14 to a team that is already out of the playoffs. This is what made Hackett get fired. Everything is lost, players showing no respect for each other, getting into altercations, and the biggest loss of the season on Christmas Day. You could say Russell Wilson was a huge proponent of this team's downfall as he played like one of the worst QBs all season, but it's just too much of an economic loss for the franchise to even think about getting rid of Wilson. So the simplest decision was to fire your underperforming head coach. It hurts to hear, but Russell Wilson's performance led to Hackett getting fired. Broncos organization is hoping the next head coach can come in and fix him since Hackett didn't provide any assistance. This team is in desperate need of help, and hopefully they can find a coach who can help turn the situation around. Sean Payton is on the coaching block, and I heard he's looking to make a return, just not to the Broncos.